Terence Crawford Avanesyan was a success, says BLK Prime. Is ERROL Spence Jr. next? Alright, y'all, so the numbers are rolling in for the Terence Crawford versus David Avanesyan fight and how successful they were. You know, this is BLK Prime's first outing putting on a boxing event, and they wanted to have a certain level of success. I don't think anybody expected this to be May-Pac or anywhere close to that, or even eclipse some of the average boxing pay-per-view events, because it's such a new platform. The competition levels were so low, and I think fans have been turned off by Terence Crawford's antics over the past year. So I don't think they were shooting for a significantly high number, but I do think that they were shooting for a reasonably good number. Now, recently, Eddie Hearn was quoted as saying he didn't think Crawford Avanesyan would do 10,000 buys. And I think a lot of people ran with that and kind of agreed with the fact that they didn't think that the fight would do 10,000 buys. But I was looking at some articles today, and according to those articles, BLK Prime, their bottom line number was 50,000, and they felt if they got anywhere close to that 50,000 mark that the event would be successful. Now, I told people before the event happened, you know, about two and a half months ago when everything was announced, that if they only got, you know, 10% of BLK's regular audience, whatever their regular audience is, and then they got another 10% of Blue Blood Sports audience, and then they got another, you know, 10% of just regular fans to tune in, regular boxing fans to tune in, then they would more than likely have a successful event, because it doesn't take a lot for an event to be successful and make money, but it does take a lot for an event to be of a May-Pac status. And I in nowhere in my mind did I ever think that this event was going to do somewhere close to that, or even close to, you know, like Thurman Pacquiao numbers, or, you know, just the average superstar boxing event, because once again of the antics of Terence Crawford and BLK being so new. But I do feel like that 50,000, if they got anywhere close to 50,000, I would have to agree that they had some type of success, even though it's marginal success. And I think in the boxing world now that even marginal success is good, you know, within the boxing world. I don't know how BLK Prime can afford to pay someone so much for such a small return on their investment. But once again, as a startup company, to get your product in front of the proper audience, you know, that's priceless, because you're going to pay for that anyway in advertising dollars. So I guess they feel like, well, Terence Crawford is an advertising machine, you know. Although he's not very popular, he had a ace in the hole, which is ERROL Spence Jr. To continue to talk about ERROL Spence Jr. or to continue to mention his name is like free publicity for them. And I think that was a part of BLK Prime's promotional plan. Every time someone talks about Terence Crawford or someone interviews him, he's going to do two things. He's going to mention ERROL Spence, and he's going to mention BLK Prime and the $10 million, because that's going to get other fighters excited, believing that they can go and secure a $10 million payday from BLK Prime, when in actuality, what they're doing is they're using ERROL Spence's name and that $10 million payout as incentive for people to tune in. You know, they're using ERROL Spence's name to bring in the boxing fans, and they're using that $10 million to get other boxers to tune in and to believe that they can have that same success if they deal with BLK Prime. Now, the event is a complete flop. You know, at the end of the day, it's a flop in the eyes of other boxing promotional companies. And it's a flop in the eyes of the fans, because the fans know what average events do in the boxing world. And 50,000 is not good. 50,000 is something that a new fighter, you know, someone with a small fan base, someone maybe who just won a title. That's what those type of fighters should be doing. A pound for pound number one high quality welterweight should at the least be doing 150,000 buys every event. And I think that's well known within the boxing world now. It used to be around 500,000 buys, 600,000 buys back in Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather's day. And even that 1 million, that magical 1 million buy number, the target to hit for back in those days. But because of, streaming, because boxing kind of sucks now, because of MMA, because of down competition levels, it's dragging certain fighters, not all fighters, but certain fighters' names they're not synonymous with selling events anymore, and even Errol Spence is having difficulty, getting high numbers, but he's probably one of the highest when it comes to pay-per-view sales, and it's because of his competition level. He does have likability, he's a likable guy, personality, outgoing guy. He's in the hip-hop crowd, so he's going to get a portion of that. He's everything that Terence Crawford isn't, and I think it shows. And I think it's definitely going to show when they do finally release the official numbers. Now, here's the thing about this whole situation. Even if Terence Crawford did do 50,000, that's not his average number. His average number is more around the 100,000 buy mark, the 100,000 sales of pay-per-view. So he would be going below his own average. And they were already, quote-unquote, lowballing Terence Crawford for only doing 100,000 pay-per-views. So now if he's only doing 50,000 or below, I think we can pretty much call the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight dead in the water. I'm to the opinion now it's never going to happen, and it's because it's Terence Crawford's own fault. Terence Crawford is the type of person who sees something shiny, he wants it, he goes after it, but he shoots his own foot off, so he can't get it. Can't move, he can't get it, he can't chase the opportunity because he does stuff that's counterintuitive to him actually getting what he wants. Going from Bob Arum and 100,000 pay-per-view buys to BLK Prime and somewhere around 40 to 50,000 pay-per-view buys is going in the wrong direction. And it's not going to make an Errol Spence fight. As a matter of fact, it's making an Errol Spence fight harder to make, which brings up the question, is he doing this on purpose? Is he purposely doing this so he doesn't have to fight Errol Spence, but he continuously gets good paydays, he stays in the public eye, he uses Errol Spence's name for publicity, and he's getting a great financial benefit out of all of this. One thing I will give Terence Crawford, he might not be the greatest fighter, but he's having success as a businessman. And I can't hate a black man for making money, but I do think it's hurting the sport. I do think that it's killing any chance of us getting the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight. And I think it's making boxing as a whole and as a sport look bad. MMA is definitely ishing on boxing, Even the WWE, they talking about getting into the boxing game. I saw that report the other day, so it's crazy, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. More than likely to get a response on the tubes, so holler at me over there. And Twitter, and we are
Next time, show me love when the moment lock. Look keys on the grind and it's ready to pop. Show me love when the moment lock. In the middle of the summer when it's hot as a beach. Out of winter time when the snow drops on the street. I let the flow drop on the beat. The CD drop and I eat. Let the CD knock and I cheat. Cup filled to the top, I look sleep. I'm so gone, but I still get goals for the day. Move volume 2s all day like yay. Hey, how anything else you can wait? Is anything else y'all can play? They tired of the BS, so I hit the booth with the VSOP. Sliding on the track like snow skis. Negro please, keys flow for the OG. Came from the dirt like an oak tree. Still came out clean with a goatee. Everybody know me, trying to get some OG. I'm a bird town play, can't run. I'm a Park Hill play, I'm a Westport play. show me love when I'm on your block. Nap time, show me love when I'm on your block. Show me love when I'm on your block. Look keys on the grind and it's ready to pop. Make sure you show me love when I'm on your block.